Hello everyone. Welcome back to Backend with Node.js playlist. Today we are diving into a crucial concept in web development, MVC architecture. MVC, Model View Controller, is a software design pattern commonly used in the development of web applications. It helps to organize code in a way that separates, concerns, and promotes modularity. So basically, MVC or Model View Controller is a design pattern that brings order and structure to our code. It's like the architect of a building, ensuring that each component has its own role. So, what are these components? The components are model, view, controller. So, what is a model? The model represents the data and business logic of the application. We can simplify model as the model is the brain of application. It manages the data, logic, and rules of the application. It is responsible for retrieving and storing data as well as defining the rules that govern the manipulation of that data. In the context of Node.js, the model would include interactions with a database or any data related operations. So, model is where we interact with the database, perform calculations, and also handle the nitty gritty of our business logic. So, in MVC architecture, a model typically represents the data layer and a business logic. So, now coming to the next component, what is view? The view is responsible for presenting the data to the user and handling user interface logic. So simply the view is all about user interface. It receives data from the model and renders it to the user. Views can be anything from HTML pages to user interfaces in a desktop application. So view represents the data from the model to the user in a way that it makes sense. Think of it as a face of our application. Also, in context of Node.js, the view might be implemented using a templating engine or other rendering mechanisms like embedded JS, Pug, etc. These are all templating engines. So, in context of Node.js application, Vue is majorly using templating engines like embedded JS or Pug. So, these are the templating engines which are useful to render the dynamic data in the HTML pages. Now, the last component is the controller. The controller acts as an intermediary between the model and the view. So basically, it manages the flow of data between model and the view. It receives user input from the view, processes it, usually involving interactions with the model, and updates the view controller. The controller processes the input, interacts with the model to update the data or retrieve information. In Node.js application, the controller is often implemented as route handlers which receive and process HTTP requests, interact with the model, and then render the appropriate view. So this is the MVC flow, like model view controller flow, what we have discussed till now. First step is user interact with the view, and then view forwards the user input to the controller. So controller is the middleman between the view and the model. So controller processes the input, interacts with the model, and updated view is presented to the user as views are using embedded JavaScript or Pug. So the dynamic content will be updated in the HTML pages. So this is the MVC flow. So implementing MVC architecture in Node.js application involves structuring code in a way that separates these concerns, making the code base more modular and easier to maintain. Frameworks like Express.js can facilitate the implementation of the MVC pattern in Node.js environment. Yeah, that wraps to our introduction to MVC architecture. I hope you found this tutorial helpful in understanding the basics. In next video, we'll take a deeper dive into building a practical application using these concepts. If you have any questions or topics you would like us to cover, leave a comment below. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Happy coding.